What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today we're having a look at portable cameras. Now my go-to option is this GoPro Session, which is a tiny cube, easy to use, GoPro support, and you get a ton of features and pretty decent audio and video quality. But these days we're moving more and more towards immersive video experiences. Virtual reality, 360-degree video, you name it. And that's where this comes in. This is the WUNDER360, which is a 360-degree video camera. Also tiny, also very cool, stylish, also with app support, but more features, 360-degree video, live streaming, 4K video, you name it. So this is promising to be pretty cool. We're gonna open the box, obviously, do a little unboxing, see what you get, and then we're gonna test it out to see if it is actually worth getting something like this already over a standard GoPro. Alright, here we are up close with the WUNDER360 camera. This is all you get in the box, obviously the box itself, the unit itself, in this case with the lanyard that I already put on. You get a manual in 15 languages, connection cable, and a charging and data cable. So that's really all you get and all you need in order to operate. Nice and simple. But most of the time you're probably just going to be using the unit and the charging cable. So let's put this to the side and focus on the unit itself. First of all, we have to talk about the size. Now the GoPro Sessions that I showed you earlier is right here. So you can see it is quite a bit bigger, obviously because you have the handle here. The GoPro by itself is smaller, but since you'll most likely be using this with some kind of grip or anything, you won't really be using it in your fingers like this. It is, I'd say, not even that much bigger. Putting this back to the side, the unit itself is quite simple. You got the start, stop, record button right there. You got a tiny little display with a little bit of interaction with the unit. You got your Wi-Fi button here on the side, so you can connect to your phone, because most operations will be done through an app. You got another menu mode button here and a back and power button. And behind this little flap is where you find the micro SD card slot and your charging port. So that's really all you get in terms of interaction with the unit itself. And like I said, most actions will be done through the app. Now we got two lenses here, obviously, as you can see, in this sort of dome-shaped top, one here and one on the other side, giving you the full 360-degree view. And overall it is, I think, a very sleek and elegant design. It reminds me a bit of Evie, the robot from WALL-E, but it really functions well, especially when you're holding it like this in your hand. It is really nice to hold and operate. The buttons are exactly where you want them to be, very sort of easy to reach with your thumb. And overall, this is a design that really works well. On top here, by the way, we also have the microphone pinhole for your audio. And here on the bottom, we have a standard screw mount, so you can pretty much put it on anything from a tripod to a selfie stick. Alright, so now we're in the app. The camera is outside and running. And I'll show you a little bit on how that works. You can really sort of go around and see anything in the 360-degree sphere. Up, down, left, right, you can really toggle anywhere you want to go. Got the WUNDER360 here on the bottom, because obviously it can't film where it is standing, so you get the logo there. And that is a really nice way of sort of seeing what you are shooting. Now there's a few options here. You can put it in VR mode, so when you're filming to shoot for people to watch on a VR set, you can do it that way. You can use the gyroscope, you can turn that on and off, you can set a timer. Especially handy when you're taking pictures. You can even set it on time lapse if you want to, capture a sunrise or sunset, for example. And there's a few different modes. So we got mirror ball going on right now. This is the fisheye version, which looks very similar. But more interesting is the tiny planet one, where you can see it completely zooms out and you can look around that way. This is particularly cool when you're using a selfie stick and you're riding a motorcycle, for example. That makes it pretty interesting. Back to normal mirror ball, and then you can see back to the normal frame. So that's the settings in terms of where the view, how you view your image. This is just a bunch of settings in the app itself. Nothing too shocking. You can see firmware upgrade is necessary, so that's nice that they update that. There's a bunch more settings going on there, but if you go for the green button, that is the record button. So now let's press record and start filming. We'll do a little test of sound and image right at the same time. Alright, now let's sample it as we go.
you can see I can move around here and I'm not touching or moving the camera whatsoever, so that actually is quite nice if you can do that in post-production, really any way, shape or form that you want. I can be up here, I can be down there, it doesn't really matter, it captures anything around. So I can keep moving and the camera will capture everything. So this is also right away a sample of how the sound quality is and how this will come across to your audience. But this is most likely something that you'll stream either live to YouTube or do in post-production just for sort of cool shots. I don't necessarily think you're going to rely on the audio of this device in particular. Now this is a fun mode with the tiny planet setting. You can see that it makes for quite an interesting image, especially suitable for when you're riding a jet ski or motorcycle or anything that it might be. And it creates a pretty cool sort of effect that you don't really have to do anything to when you're doing post-production. But again, when you're doing live streaming here, it makes it all the much cooler.
So there you go, a little sample of the audio quality right away and a little idea of how this works when you're working with your phone as a viewfinder and doing all the settings rather than using the device itself. You can change a few things on the camera itself, which is nice just for some quick settings, switching between photo and video, for example, because you're not always going to have your phone available. And it's actually a remarkably similar system than the GoPro that we looked at earlier, where you pretty much have 1.5 button to make a few changes and toggles, but you do pretty much all your work on the app that comes with it. Alright, what kind of conclusion can we reach about the C1 360 camera from WUNDER360? There's a lot to like about this camera. I really like how easy it is to operate and how well the image quality sort of comes across, not only while shooting it on your phone, but also in post-production. It is really nice, it's clear, and it's easy to work with. Effectively what you get in post-production is just a very wide image that you can just move around as you see fit. And if you're a bit skillful with editing after, then obviously you can make all kinds of very cool movements with that image. The quality is great. The features and the settings that you can do through your phone or even on the camera itself are all very accessible and very usable, depending a little bit on what kind of sort of cinematic effect, so to speak, you want to give your video. But even that, if you just stick to the normal mirror ball mode in post-production, there's so much you can do with that. That it's really a very versatile tool in a very small and tiny stylish package. Coming to the hardware, I really like how they have made the design. It really works. It's easy to hold. You don't necessarily need all kinds of sticks and attachments. It just works in the hand like this. The only point of criticism I have is that when it's not standing like this, you have to rest it on a lens at all times, because obviously you cannot put it on a table like this, it'll fall over. So it is always on a lens, which is not an issue, when you use it very carefully, but inevitably you will get some scratches on it, and I think over time that might potentially be an issue. Small point of criticism. The other criticism I have is that it gets hot quite quick, and it's not that you can't hold it anymore, but it does get quite warm quite quickly, which is, I suppose, inevitable with such tight packaging, and they still manage to cram, a bit of battery life in here. And it's not something that the GoPro, for example, doesn't do, but it was noticeably faster that this got hot than the GoPro, for example. And then there's of course the audio quality, which is just not acceptable. It is really bad, as you've heard earlier in the video. So forget, shooting full-length interviews with this. It's just not good enough for that. I really think that it's a tool for image capturing rather than sound capturing. It is just not good enough for that, and the image really shines, but the audio really doesn't. And in comparison to the GoPro again, for example, the audio there isn't great either, but it is much better than it is here. Altogether though, I think at this price point it is a very compelling package. It does everything you need to do. You never even have to touch any kind of post-production software. You can pretty much do everything on your phone. For a live stream to YouTube or Facebook, or just capturing cool shots when you're out on a festival or on a boat or just biking around, this really does it all in a very small and easy to use form factor. So I think they've hit it right out of the park with this. If they can also fix the audio quality, then I really think you have a complete GoPro rival in this. I like this a lot, and I think at the price point it is definitely worth considering if you just want something to shoot fun videos with and have a good time with, and also share some cool videos on social media, for example. This is definitely a really cool tool for you. and at a way better price point than a GoPro is, with a lot more features and a lot more options. So next time you're in the market for a camera, certainly consider something like this, the WUNDER360 C1. Until then, I'm Peter from Reviews on Anything. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe to the channel, that always helps us out a lot. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!